Welcome, one and all, to Pacific414 episode review. I'm your host, Mike, and in this episode, I'm going to be giving you my take on the 4th episode of the Book of Boba Fett, The Gathering Storm. The Gathering Storm starts off with another flashback by Boba Fett. We see him flashback to riding his bantha and going through the desert of Tatooine. He ends up at Jabba's palace, starts scouting the area, and we see two flares from the Mandalorian episode, The Gunslayer. He goes to the location of those flares, finds Fennec Shand, takes her to some modifiers outside of Mos Eisley where she gets the augmentations done, the modifications done, and then takes Fennec back to where he found her, where she comes to. They have a conversation, they have some liquid, and then Boba proceeds to tell Fennec about his plan of recovering Slave One, and he refers to Slave One as his fire spray. They end up going back to Jabba's palace. There are far too many guards for them to know exactly how many are exactly there. So they send in a probe droid. The probe droid scouts the whole palace, gives them the reconnaissance of all the guards that are inside. Then Fennec and Boba Fett make their way inside the palace. They take out a few droids in the kitchen. And while they're taking out a few guards in the kitchen, they end up finding Slave One. By the time they get to where Slave One is located, the other guards are there. There's a firefight. Boba Fett is trying to get Slave One back up and running, which he is able to do, but there's not enough clearance for him to engage Slave One's guns. Fennec ends up helping him out by getting rid of a few guards. They do manage to find their way outside of Jabba's palace, where they end up going back to the Sarlacc pit because Boba wants to look for his armor. Apparently, he forgot that he had his armor on when he got out of the Sarlacc pit. And of course, some might say it's because of dehydration he forgot that information. So they get to the Sarlacc pit. They're looking for Boba's armor. They've got lights on, and then we see the face of the Sarlacc come alive, and it tries to take Slave One down inside it, and Slave One is caught by the tentacles. And then there's the sonic bomb that Fennec is able to release, and it causes a seismic explosion, releasing Slave One, the fire spray from the Sarlacc's grip, and they fly off. Then we flash forward to present day, where Fennec and Boba Fett have to meet with the various bosses of the various territories. Even before that, there's also the matter of the Wookiee. We see Dark Chrysanthemum, and he's there in the Mos Espa place where Jennifer Beals is at, and of course he's not too happy because he sees some Trandoshans. He actually confronts the Trandoshans, gets rid of a few, and is holding one up where Jennifer Beals comes up and tries to calm him down. While Chrysanthemum decides, okay, I'll listen to you, but not before ripping the Trandoshan that he's holding up in the air. He decides to rip his arm off. And then Boba shows up and says that he's going to need some extra muscle. He's going to end up meeting with all the different various houses in Mos Espa. Dark Chrysanthemum is now working for Boba Fett. There's a meeting inside the palace, and the bosses aren't too keen of working with Boba Fett, which they do agree to leave Boba Fett alone and let him do his own thing. After a little persuasion from the Rancor, we get a scene with Fennec and Boba, and they're standing on the balcony saying a war's coming and we're going to need some muscle and we have to hire some hired guns. And one of the questions Fennec asked Boba is, do they have enough credits to pay for the extra hired muscle? Boba says, I have plenty of credits, but it's not how much credit you give somebody. It's not how much muscle you find. It's finding the right muscle. in which you get the Mandalorian theme. So obviously Mando will be in either the next episode or the episode after that. So we have that to look forward to. Now, overall, I thought this episode was a slight improvement over the first 3 episodes. And by slight, if I'm going by my rating scale, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. That's not much, considering the first 2 episodes were 2-star. The last episode, barely 2.5, and this episode's only a 3.5. So here we are, 4 episodes in, and there are 7 episodes in this season. To go 1 for 4 in baseball terms of .333 batting average, that's not very good. It's not very good, my friends. And with this episode only being slightly better than the last, that's not saying much. It shouldn't take the 4th episode to get to the point where you're going, okay, that's better. The first episode should have hooked you in automatically. The first episode of Mandalorian hooked me in automatically. The first episode of this show did not. If you don't believe me, watch the quick takes I've done on episodes 1, 2, and 3. You already know that I'm not a big fan of the show. What should have happened in the beginning, which happened in this episode, and I know I didn't talk about it in my rundown of the episode, but I'm going to mention it now. But what should have happened is that bike gang, that speed bike gang that burned down the Tuscan village, and they robbed that one resident in the first few episodes. Well, honestly, with Boba taking that gang out in this episode, that's something that should have happened in the first episode. We should have been given the impression that Boba's still Boba, and that no matter what, he's going to do what he has to do. But we didn't get that. I really hope this is the end of the flashbacks. I really do. Enough of the flashbacks already. I'm tired of the flashbacks. You could have done all the flashback scenes that you wanted to do in the first episode, then lead it into the second episode where it takes place in present time if you wanted to. But no, Boba Fett goes into his back tank, and I really was thinking, what is this, the Book of Back to Fett? That's really what I was thinking. This episode's only a 3.5. That's not an improvement, folks. It's not improvement, and maybe I am expecting too much from this series, but considering what we've already received from 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, you got to think that Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Robert Rodriguez would already have an outline created, already have Bible created for the series, and have a roadmap planned out as to where the series is going to start, where the series is going to end. A series where all we've seen the first 3 episodes, even this one, so 4 episodes, is flashback after flashback after flashback, is going to cut it. As far as seeing these modifications to people in the Book of Boba Fett, okay, just give me the Borg. Seriously, give me the Borg. Resistance is futile. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Life as you know it is over. You will service us. You know, that kind of thing. That's what the Borg would say. No, we got this, and, you know, we only have 3 episodes left of this series for season 1. I find it very doubtful we'll get a season 2, especially if people haven't really been taking to the series that much. But that's just my opinion. You may disagree, and that's fine. Disagree, leave a comment. That's fine. It shouldn't take 4 episodes to get people hooked onto your series. You should at least be able to do it in the first, possibly the second episode to get people hooked into your series. But they dropped the ball. They seriously dropped the ball when it came to this series. So that's my review of this episode. They've dropped the ball. They have seriously dropped the ball. If you like this review, give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. And if you like any of the content here on the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Until then, you can reach me on social media, and I will see you all later.